Guys, welcome back to the GEICO booth at South by Southwest Gaming Convention. If you're around in the area, now's a great time to show up at the GEICO booth and sign up for a Hearthstone event that you guys can play in. I am Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora, and I'm joined by the Kripparrian. How are you doing today?
How's it going? Kripparrian here. I'm doing okay. Been up for a while. Been a very busy morning, and I see that you guys have been pretty busy as well. How's the Hearthstone slinging? I just saw one of my favorite tournament decks there with the Murloc Paladin kind of fall a bit. I was a bit disappointed to see that, but he had a pretty good run, it seemed.
Yeah, struggled a little bit. I think the deck, when it doesn't perform, it doesn't perform. It's pretty unspectacular, but when the deck really gets going, it is something else. We've been seeing a little bit of Control Warrior, some Aggro Shaman, some Reno Warlock. We've kind of been seeing a mixture of everything that you would expect to see out there in the metagame.
Actually, Control Warrior seems a bit surprising. That's not too popular of a tournament deck in recent times from what I've seen. It's kind of been getting run over by a lot of the more aggressive decks. Yeah,
it's been it kind of fell by the wayside for a while, but I think the revival of it really came with Amnesia. He just won the North American Championships for the Winter Series, and he had a Control Warrior in there. And so I think when people see that, it really kind of gives you that feel like, you know what? I do want to go with all my high-end legendaries and start beating people up again with weapons. It's been a little bit of a revival lately. Sort of the tournaments I've been watching, a lot of Control Warriors been working its way into lineups.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so we're moving on to Heat B here. This is at South and Southwest. Sorry, live tournament. And who do we have here? These are just players that showed up to play. Is that right?
Yeah, you actually have to be on site in order to sign up for these heats that are taking place. There's 4 heats every day on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If you want to sign up, you just show up, walk up to the booth, and register on a first-come, first-served basis. If you get knocked out on one of the days, it's not the end of the world. You can still sign up on one of the other days to continue to compete in the heats. The winner of each heat was going to advance to a 4-player single elimination bracket at the end of the day, where if they win that 4-player bracket, they take home $200 and advance to the final playoff on Saturday. Where that final one on Saturday, the 3 players play in a round-robin event, and the winner of that takes home an extra $500 on top of that.
All right. Well, it looks like Heat B has been going on while the Heat A has been going on, I take it. It's reached the final stage between Gray and Fail Asian.
Yeah, so the Heats are a little bit staggered, so if you get knocked down in one of them, we're going to have a lot of this play going on. See, panel's a little bit mixed up there. I am not Kripparrian. I am ThatsAdmirable instead. The beautiful gentleman to my left, or to my right, you're looking at, I guess. Is going to be Kripparrian over there. But this is the finals. These guys have been working hard through this bracket so far, and it's looking like we're going to have Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior facing off against Druid, Shaman, and Warlock. Now, Hunter is certainly an interesting deck, because this deck, I feel like, tries to find opportunities in the metagame where it really is, no one's really paying attention to it, so it slips by, and all the aggression and all the tools that it has really just are matching up super well versus what other people are doing.
Yeah, Hunter's, I think traditionally has been a very good tournament deck. I think the only time where Hunter was a popular tournament deck but didn't do very well was during the Face Hunter craze. It just seemed like all the tournament decks at the time were kind of built to deal with that type of deck pretty well. But, that might be kind of a weird thing to hear, but the truth is, usually the really popular decks are the ones that actually have pretty terrible win rates in tournaments, because the tournaments are always evolving the ranked play. They're always kind of counterplaying what people are actually wanting to bring to them. Well, most of the time, at least, when opportunity arises, and it usually does. So Hunter has been a very good class. I know it's been one of the highest win rates, even when we had the stalemate on decks around Patron Warrior in late last year. I think Hunter still had the best win rate, even though everyone was complaining about Patron Warrior and all these other decks and this and that. It did absolutely exactly what you're mentioning, how it makes it to the tournament scene, but when it does, it is quite successful. It's very rare that you see an unsuccessful Hunter deck.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there. During that Patron era, it was just so many. Patron was so powerful that it was warping player strategies where they had to take a stance. Either they were going to play to beat Grim Patron Warrior almost exclusively, or they were going to kind of ignore it and try to beat the other decks that were in the lineup. And so it was just creating this weird dynamic where it kind of funneled your play into one direction or another. And speaking of Grim Patron, it looks like that's what Gray is bringing here to game number 1. Fail Asian, meanwhile, Aggro Shaman in a pretty darn good hand to start at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is actually favored for the Grim Patron Warrior because you have all those health bonuses while you're playing this, aggressive control game at the start. But the difference in opening hands is pretty vast here.
Yeah, very slower start for Gray, I'd say, despite the Armor Smith being on board. No action on turn 2, aside from, well, that's a good one to pick up. No real action outside of the execute going on this turn. Could have Battle Rage for 2, but in this matchup, it's really about fighting the development that the Shaman's going to present. Over and over again, they're going to continue to play cheap, efficient minions that are looking to run over your board state over and over again. And so while this Unstable Ghoul does answer the Knife Juggler, what answers the Feral Spirit that comes afterwards? Because now not only is there the 2/2/3s there, but there's also this 3/2 from the Tunnel Trog.
Curious why he didn't attack the Ghoul. I mean, you trade 1 damage for 1 damage, but you gain an armor, and every point of armor is so crucial. And as it turns out, you would actually kill the Trog there.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely can agree with that. The attack on the Trog is super crucial. Like you mentioned, every single point of life is going to matter so much. Could have been a nod to this execute. Is going to execute this Tunnel Trog. Cannot leave that guy on board. But now these Feral Spirits are going to start attacking, and while it's not the end of the world here, kind of like as you mentioned, every single point really matters here. And so over the course of 2 turns, these guys getting 8 points of damage, even in the face of a Death Spite.
Now, Death Spite here actually is pretty worthless. The
reason I like it is because of that Grim Patron.
The Patron?
He just drew normally, I don't think I would have gone for this, but he just drew the Inner Rage for this. And so if he gets his Death Spite set up, you're looking at 4 Grim Patrons on the board on turn 5. Chooses to forego it, though, and now damage, once again, is... Like, now the Feral Spirit's getting even more damage here. Fail Asian's start has been so good right now. I guess the only issue I would even see here is maybe potential closing. Like, say he just keeps drawing minions instead of drawing any burn spells. I think that could be the one way that this game slips away from him.
Ooh, that's a terrible draw from the Warrior, though. And it's the Warrior that really needs to draw well here. I think a lot of these decks run Belchers, a lot of like mid-range like stall cards. But we're not really seeing them right now. Like double Death Spite doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, the second Death Spite I think is going to be almost exclusively for just pushing damage once it gets to that point. But then how important is that damage really at the end of the day? Once you get 4 Grim Patrons rolling, is damage really your major concern towards the end of it? You're looking at 2 turns worth of attacks, and the game's usually over by then.
Yeah. Well, if the Leopard Gnome comes down, you probably make this attack anyway. Yeah, looks like it's coming down. All right, so what is it looking like? The Shaman has the Shock and the Lava Burst. So that's 7 plus the 4. He's 5 short, so he does need to pick up another piece. 5 short is quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's a Rock Biter or a Crackle, I believe. I don't think anything else is going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to see Inner Rage here. I mean, I would be absolutely stunned if Gray chose not to Inner Rage this Grim Patron.
Yeah. And these players are actually pretty animated. Fail Asian seems to be having a pretty good time playing right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, at a lot of events, surrounded by friends, surrounded by like-minded people, enjoying your time at South by Southwest. It'd be hard not to be smiles when you're on that stage. I remember I was there at PAX South. It was, I was definitely very focused, but I was also very animated while I was playing there.
He got the spell damage totem for the Lightning Storm. Oh, actually, Min rolled on every one. So if he didn't get that spell damage totem, it would have done nothing.
Yeah, it would have taken 2 power off the board from a 5.
And now it's like, guaranteed. Look at that hand right now.
This just went from bad to worse for Gray. I mean, it seemed like he might have had a chance to actually recover in this game.
No way! Look at that hand. He has to like play a taunt, heal, and like I don't know. How do you do that? He has to heal for like 10 and play a taunt. Right?
His chance to recover in this game was if Fail Asian continued to draw minions, and he got all the Grim Patrons in stick. Instead, his board got Lightning Stormed, and Fail Asian drew 2 Rock Fighters. For the man who has everything.
Huge. You even have a spell damage totem.
Oh,
that was an unfair amount of damage.
I think that's totally fair. This is beautiful. Yeah, only 7 overkill with potential for 15 overkill as the game let you attack that much. Failation takes a very decisive game number 1, and we've been seeing Aggro Shaman kind of struggle so far in this open event. But with hands like that, you are not going to struggle. If you get a good open, you follow it with the utility you need, and then you have Rockbiter with Doomhammer. That's like the dream start for Aggro Shaman.
I think there was a little bit of a slip up there with the Armorsmith at the start, but all he would have netted is an extra execute, which wouldn't have done anything in that game. So I don't think. I mean, he lost that game by like a margin of 20 HP, right?
Yeah.
So that was not the difference.
So it is going to be Gray playing what I thought was going to be Murloc Paladin, but the Sword of Justice was really looking interesting to me. And now that I see this Grayscale Oracle, I don't think that this is like the traditional Murloc Paladin deck. I think this is like a super aggressive oriented build that is just going to look to push your opponents out of the game as quickly as possible. But when you have turn 1 Grimscale Oracle versus turn 1 Piloted Shredder, I'm not sure that really adds up.
That's going to be okay for the Paladin here, as long as it's not going to be like Millhouse area. But I mean, Failation is running really well right now. So I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Waco Face. What?
Wow. Yeah, to me that spells that this deck is purely aggro at this point. His only concern is going to be killing his opponent, and I think he's going to do that, or try to do that at whatever the cost may be.
Wow. All right, well, the play is to do Sword of Justice then, right? You want to do Sword of Justice into Muster, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, the thing that I'm seeing that could be a big problem here is the fact that he's just got so many weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the weapons are just going to be kind of overlaying each other. You know, you're not really too sad.
Just to go face, by the way. Just a face hit.
Yeah. It's very rare you see that from Sword of Justice. But the weapons kind of just overlapping each other means he's going to lose a couple points of damage this game.
I've only pulled off this combo once, the Sword of Justice into Muster for Battle. And when I played Sword of Justice, a rogue played Burgle, and then when I played Muster for Battle, buffed everything to 2/2, consecrated me. Felt bad.
No, that's a totally feel-good moment here.
Oh, you missed an attack there. That's 1 damage missed.
He's playing on Harrison Jones. For sure.
You really think? Oh, yeah, actually, that's not too bad.
It's not the worst. I mean, I certainly don't want him drawing extra cards if I can avoid it.
Right. But he didn't attack at all.
Just absolutely missed the attack at that point.
Yeah.
So that 1 damage.
No, actually, that was a really good call because you're gonna True Silver over this weapon anyway. You just don't want to get Harrison in the meantime.
Yeah, it's going to add up to net 1 loss damage here, but I don't think this is really going to matter. I think this board's going to be much more about whether or not Gray can actually recover this board state. I mean, it's looking like things are in shambles. The turn 1 Shredder's dealt 8 points of damage. It's killed a minion. Found a 2/3 taunt off the Raven Idol. Everything feels like it's kind of going the wrong way for Gray right now.
Okay. Well, he's still going for it. Smork it. Face.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the 2 damage face here if you're going to play the Murloc in this spot.
Yeah.
And
at the
Failation
same time,
takes
though, when
opportunity to just push 4 more.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're ahead on the board, you want to push for more damage than what you're taking. I mean, if you're taking 2 but you're dealing 4, your opponent's the one who has to make the trade eventually.
Or do they? Gray's going to continue to push and takes 4 damage to clear the Shredder out, which honestly I don't necessarily disagree with right now. I feel like if he's going to win this game, he's going to have to get a little bit lucky to just draw the right cards and then have all this damage pan out right, and maybe try to force Failation into playing a more defensive spot than he was comfortable with. But I feel like he just got all the tools to rip
by
it
the
apart.
way. That would have been a game-winning swipe.
It would have been okay. Deal 4 damage and kill your whole board. That's an alright turn.
Yep.
Yeah, Failation just going to keep swinging away, and with the extra 1/1s, that means the Saboteur represents that much more damage.
Yeah, it's probably going to be over here. I mean, I think he's going to go all-out face, because that's what he's been doing the whole game, and Saboteur is going to do it. Wow.
Is all this damage
What
actually...
carnage! What carnage!
You know what? You gotta respect the Moxie for playing aggro Murlocs though, in a Paladin build.
Yeah.
Yep, Savage Order's gonna wrap it up. Super easy game there for Failation. He takes a 2-0 lead now over Gray.
Yeah, very good opening hands, very good sequencing, and very unfortunate draws and plays from his opponent. I mean, that's every ingredient to a crushing victory in Hearthstone.
And so when you're at 2-0 now with Warlock back behind, given what we've seen so we've seen Aggro Shaman, we've seen typical mid-ranger from this guy. Is this going to be just like a regular Zoo deck, you think?
Is Zoo more popular than Reno Lock? I don't know. I think Reno Lock is more popular, at least in the ladder. Tournament play, is a bit hit and miss. I kind of feel a Reno Lock. I feel he's playing standard decks. I think Reno's more standard than Zoo right now.
Implosion, Darkfeller, Voidcaller. I'm leaning towards Reno when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to see the rest of the cards. I don't think it's Reno because he mulliganed Implosion into Implosion now.
Into Implosion, yeah. So it's like a Demon Zoo.
Yeah, it could still very easily be Demon Zoo. You could still see this being a mid-range demon kind of handlock style deck as well.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't have really the right calls for this, given his hand. And Gray once again going to go with this Murloc aggro deck. This hand looks a lot better than his first one did.
Yeah, I mean, does. Oh no, not the Murloc! Oh.
Yeah, Murloc is
like every time he's trying to push for a little bit extra damage, he's getting completely wrecked.
Yeah, 3-2 on turn 1. Feels a little bit bad. Shield and Minibot would have been fantastic in this board. But now he's in this, he's really committed to the Murloc Open. Mm-hmm. Like, so Murloc War Leader slated for turn 3 right now. And that's actually going to be a pretty significant presence versus what's happening right now. I mean, we saw him just quite literally push for damage with almost no real utility and still got Phalation down to like 9. And this Open is like way heavier handed and is pushing way more damage early on. Is this space plan going to be a lot more resilient than his first one was? I feel like the answer is yes.
Yeah, but he's still got good answers here. 3, okay, not bad. He's got the Argus next turn. He has the Mortal Coil. He has the Power of Overwhelm. There's just so many good tools on Phalasian's side here again. I think it's actually the same case. It's the same thing. I think if Gray went for the Shield and Minibot before the first Murloc and just defended the board, he would have been in a much better position here.
Yeah, 2 Shield and Minibots here. Just going to hope for the best. But this Defender of Argus is going to tear through this.
Yeah.
Yep, starts off with Mortal Coil. I imagine one of these shields is going to be popped by a Haunted Creeper. Yep. And pushes damage himself. I actually really like the way Phalasian's been playing these games. Like, recognizing where trades are not necessarily very favorable and just trying to get the extra damage while he can to just get himself that one extra turn to kill his opponent a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he's gonna go for the silence. That's extra damage. Silence 1, shield down the other, and 3 face.
Now
was there any question? Oh, what?
Yeah, I think clearing here is fine. I mean, investing into the better 1/1 board state is definitely good. Knife Juggler can easily start ripping this apart, though. I mean, not only does that guy basically have taunt in the situation, but he's also very likely to kill an extra minion here. Yeah, that might have been a little bit too much board swing there, I think, for Gray to handle.
I still think he's in decent shape here. Like this is where the Murloc Knight actually gets a bit out of hand.
So Murloc Knight into old Mer guy?
The only problem that I see is the fact that he might get Doom Guarded, which will make his Divine Favor horrible.
Yeah, that's definitely something I think Phalasian could be thinking about this game. He does have Void Caller in his hand, though. Like, do you think he's just going to slam Doomguard this turn?
Nah, not with that draw. I think he might have, because Power Overwhelming and Imp King Boss also feels really bad. I think you might as well Doomguard in that stage, but he picked up the Abusive Sergeant, and I think this play is going to lead a little bit better. Oh, 2 self-damage. Helping him out there.
Plus the extra card.
Wow. That's great. I think I would Consecrate here, though. I don't think you're getting a much better board than this.
I don't know. I think I like the Abusive Sergeant. If you Abusive Sergeant in Divine Favor, you're getting...
You get more damage, potentially.
Yeah, and then you have to Consecrate to maybe push past that last 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this game's not quite over. You know, we were kind of counting him out of this, but suddenly this is like this is a sizable amount of damage you just put together.
Look at that. That's a 7 attack. Oh, he didn't go for it. Huh. That was pretty weird.
Yeah, I think he's kind of seeing it now. He's like, I think he wanted to token really, really badly, and he's going to follow through on it anyway. Like, now that he's already made this play, he definitely should be tokening here. But I think this is it. Like, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18. There's only 18 damage available for Phalation right now, and unless he Lothebs, 2 consecrations are happening.
Yeah. Well, Lotheb is happening, but is that really enough?
No, he's Doom guarding.
Looks like it is. Looks like it. Oh, whoa!
That's it. Gray just locked this game up.
Wow. Looks like the Paladin is capable of winning here.
Just pushing damage. You relentlessly push enough damage and have burn spells behind, no matter how bad they are. Burn spells can end the game. Wait, what if Malagus, or what if Malgatus came color right now?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Would have been the worst feeling in the world. You got to go for it though. Gray picked up his first game. Just relentless pressure. You know what? Enough. Never underestimate the overwhelming power of enough little stupid dorks.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, he's got the Grim Patron behind, which is basically that same concept, and he's also got the Hunter. And I'm really curious on how to gauge a Hunter because we talked about that it's it's not too traditional of a deck right now. And he's playing a very different Paladin than either of us had anticipated. Have you seen any crazy stuff? Oh, there's Arcane Golem, so this is probably closer to face.
This is about what I think I would expect, given what we saw from the Paladin deck.
Okay.
It's just push damage, push damage, push damage. And like just that little bit of disruption to hope to pull it off. So like explosive traps I expect to be the main trap in here. And outside of that, just Arcane Golems, maybe some Argent Crusaders, and just generally more damage to push into your opponent's face.
All right, well, you're generally pretty happy when you open up with Mad Scientist, but this is going to get destroyed here.
Yeah, Nerubian Egg's such a big problem for almost everything early on.
Not only that, it's Nerubian Egg into Flame Imp. And he's
he actually does have Malganis in here, too. Yeah. Maybe that's what he was life-tapping for in that last situation.
I was going to respect the explosive trap easily. Wow. Probably these players have seen each other play while they were there. Right? Like that call for the explosive trap immediately. He's only seen Mad Scientist, right? As far as this matchup is concerned. Would you be that confident to say that it's explosive trap in a split second and pass and not play a Flame Imp? You'd have to think about that a little bit. They had to have seen each other play.
You could also just be using, again, the Paladin deck sort of as a guide here. If my opponent's going to be that aggressive with a deck, I'm going to assume he's going to be that aggressive with the decks that do it really well. And Hunter is, as you mentioned earlier, Face was the way to play this deck early on. It was so very powerful. And to see that Gray is playing basically a Face Paladin deck, I don't think it's any surprise that he's also playing a Face Hunter deck. Especially when he sees the Arcane Golem here, it's solidified in his mind that Explosive Trap is the only thing this can
the Arcane Golem is a very telling card. There's no doubt about that.
So just load up the board. And this is actually it doesn't load up the board. Interesting. This is actually pretty critical timing too for Phalasian's spot. Rolling into Gray's next turn, Unleash the Hounds and Knife Juggler is a terrifying thought to be facing. And I think this attack trade from Gray is to try to underrepresent that potential, so that Phalasian has a higher chance to load the board up here.
Okay. Voidwalker's pretty nice though. That stops that a little bit.
No Abusive Sergeant, no Ironbeak Owl though. So Phalasian kind of being patient. Wolf Rider, not a terrible surprise to see. These knives, so crucial.
I think I would consider attacking the Voidwalker first with the weapon. Oh, these knives suck.
Those are not the knives he wanted. And there's actually no chance to protect the Juggler here, so I would venture to say that most of his damage is probably supposed to go to face here. Like, I think taking out the 2-1s is proper, just to make sure that he doesn't have the super easy attack on the Knife Juggler. Like, if your opponent takes 3 damage and kills your Knife Juggler with a Flame Imp, I think that feels pretty good.
He could have made a higher tempo play. He could have power overwhelmed the Flame Imp and then silenced it. I think that was yeah, I think he just recognized that.
Yeah, that's actually would have been a really good play, too. Would have kept the extra 3-2 on board.
Yeah, tempo's the name of the game right now.
Wow, this is an interesting spot. I don't think you're supposed to be trading here, but like Defender of Argus has to creep into your mind when you leave up 2 guys. But with just this
nothing
much damage,
that creeps into your mind when you go face. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't trade off the second dog. Oh my.
Wow.
That is a super good draw right now. I think you just start... Wow, if you Arcane Golem, you could put him towards Mal'Ganis. Then if you see Void Caller, you have to be thinking Mal'Ganis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Void Caller was just drawn. It wasn't like a peddler. Oh, he does... Oh, wow.
This is definitely a way to lose this game. Is to push your opponent into the Mal'Ganis mana. And that card's been in his hand basically the whole game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He can kill the Mal'Ganis. But at what cost? I mean, this is like he's... I mean, I guess Fail Agent's at 9. Or I'm sorry, at 5 afterwards. So losing this much damage isn't really that big of a deal. Like, unless you see like Antique Healbot. Or is like something super crazy afterwards. I think that Gray's got this game locked up.
Gonna kill command first.
Yeah, I'd like to Unleash the Hounds. I don't think that taking 9 damage... I think taking 9 damage is the way that you can lose this game.
Yeah.
And now shuts off the life tap. I mean, Fail Agent needs a miracle here. It's like gotta be Jiraxis, I think. That's like the only reasonable card I could see being in this deck.
Yeah, there go the useless power overwhelms.
Yeah.
Was there any way that he could win there?
I mean, Jirax's top deck's got to be it, right?
No, I think if he could have like top decked a Leroy and then an abusive double power overwhelm.
Is Leroy going to be in that build though? I mean, where do you find the
Probably not. Probably not. But I don't know. I've been surprised by a few calls so far. So. But all right, looks like we have a tied game now. It's going to be Patron Warrior versus the Demon Zoo, and I feel the Patron Warrior has a really good matchup here. I mean, the Demon Zoo, I mean, he put as much burst as he could possibly put in the deck, but it's still not that much.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's playing the Void Callers gives him a much better potential, I think, to play a tempo game versus a mid-range style, but definitely cuts into what we've been seeing a lot lately from Zoo decks, which is just Leroy and throw power overwhelmings after you've just punched your opponent down to like 10-ish life. And definitely, I think he's happy to see it start with Nerubian Egg here, but something this deck is relying on more so is just the raw power of each card individually, rather than sort of like the major synergy of just pushing damage and then having extra burst at the end of the game. You know, typically when you have Doomguard and Power Overwhelming, if you don't have a board presence, it's super hard to use both those cards in the same turn, which was the benefit of Leroy. But because he has the 2 of those, it ends up being in this spot where instead he's fighting like a more stat for stat style of battle.
All right, well, I guess you just play the other Frothing and go to town. Well, no, now you can Acolyte and then interrage the Acolyte, and that puts your Frothing on 3 attack to kill the Void Caller. I like that better, I think.
It's just, yeah, I mean, I think both of these spots are like totally fine here. Like second Frothing Berserker, I think is for sure. You know, but this is a little bit of a worrisome board state.
You didn't like the Acolyte interrage Acolyte play?
I think it's okay. It's just, it's one of those spots where I feel like getting extra damage on board could represent something super scary. And given the way that Gray's played, I feel like this is the way he's going to continue to go, which is just like this super aggressive style where you play for board. Acolyte's totally fine, but, you know, if you use the inner rage, that is a less inner rage you have for the Grim Patron afterwards. And it looks like his turns kind of want to line up into a turn 6 Grim Patron inner rage whirlwind, where he hopes to clean up a lot of 1/1s afterwards. And then in the meantime, second Frothing Berserker means you can sometimes clock your opponent for 8 in the spot. The Void Walker is going to shut that down, but I think that trying to push as much damage as you can here and then follow up with the big Grim Patron turn is a totally reasonable spot.
What would be the best scenario here? Probably it'd be Acolyte, Whirlwind, and draw your other inner rage, and then double inner rage the Void Walker, right?
It's a lot of damage. That is very hopeful thinking, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite there yet. No, he's not there yet. No way. I'm just having some fun here. It's probably going to be Shredder, I'd imagine, but I think he might inner rage down the 2/1. I think banking on a big turn with the Grim Patron is just a little bit too late. What?
I'll tell you what, if he draws the second inner rage, that is loads of damage. This is borderline. This is borderline like super all in.
Okay.
Like I still think this play is okay because drawing extra cards right here still feels like it's really important.
We're a Void Walker. 15. You got all that frothing drool on you too.
Just snarling. What is a 15? How does he get the extra power? That's what I want to know. Is he just that much thirstier for blood?
Yeah, I guess that's it.
So life tap, 28 life, you got to be super comfortable, and now you're pushing damage. Mm-hmm. And to me, this was like one of the downsides of using the Whirlwind this turn was you're in this spot suddenly where you have Grim Patron Inner Rage, but you don't have the Whirlwind for the 1/1s, and you don't have the Whirlwind to kind of tag alongside that big effect from the Grim Patron afterwards. So he's kind of like being pushed into this very defensive position where the recovery is just so much less likely. Yeah, pretty easy turn for Fail Asian, just trading the 1/1s. They're all going to die anyway.
I get another one for free here.
Yep, and the Loatheb shuts off so many different potential combos from Gray. Should he even have the cards there? And so I think now this is pretty easy Emperor.
Yeah, there's... Oh, I mean, you can do Shredder Armorsmith. That's also pretty decent, I think. Well, what does the Emperor actually do? The Emperor doesn't really do anything. I think I like Shredder Armorsmith better. It's more stats.
Yeah, if I go for the Emperor here, I'm kind of hoping the Emperor actually has Taunt versus the 5/5. Leaving Emperor around for multiple turns can get super scary, but I guess versus Grim Patron, how scary is it? And that's really the thought here. And so at 16, facing down this much pressure, I feel like when he goes to this play, he definitely is looking more towards defense right now. He needs to figure out how to stabilize the board position so he doesn't just get pushed out of the game.
Was he about to attack the Loatheb? That would have been bad.
10. Oh, that's Doomguard.
All right. That is going to do it. I believe it's 1 over there.
That wraps it up. Fail Asian, 3-2 victory. Very close, though. Gray almost getting it done with his aggro paladin deck in that lineup. Patron not quite able to close the games, though. I think if you had a Deathbite in that game, you see something very different happen versus just having the piloted Shredder. It's just such a critical weapon to have in all of the matchups. That's the bread and butter part of Grim Patron, is being able to clear out a big minion, clear out another big minion, and then all the small ones that are there with it, and then have Grim Patron to create a massive board presence afterwards.
Yeah, even though it was actually a very close one, I felt like Fail Asian was just kind of just rocking it. He looked confident, not only in the plays, but he was just there. He was smiling, he was kicking it, and it seemed like he was getting the better side of the opening hands in almost every single game. So I think it's really been a very good run for him throughout.
Yeah, but still a good run for Gray, though. Does fight his way to the finals of this 8-man bracket. It's the second heat of the day that took place. If you guys are at South by Southwest, you can go sign up for one of the heats. You head over to the GEICO booth. 4 heats per day get run. If you happen to win one of those heats, you advance to the 4-player single elimination bracket at the end of the day, where if you win that, it's $200 in your pocket, and you advance to the final event on Saturday, which is the 3 winners of each day on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday play off in a round-robin bracket where they can win an additional $500 on top of that. So big thanks to GEICO for sponsoring this event to make it happen. There you can take a look at the second heat of the day, where Fail Asian was victorious 3-2. But also big thanks to Alienware for providing the computer, the hardware, and the peripherals for this event. And VGVN, the Video Game Voters Network, also sponsoring for this event. So like we said, there's events are running on all day at South by Southwest for the next 3 days. If you guys are over there, check it out. But the big story of this is the ONOG events that are being hosted throughout this season. 10 open tournaments with $1,000 prize pool open to U.S. residents.